Alright, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm really excited because we're actually going to build out our very first campaign. If you're new to Facebook marketing and you've never ran an ad before, this is the campaign I would suggest you start with for a couple reasons. One, it is simple to set up and quickly get going so you can kind of test the market. And then two, it is going to allow you really good data to see kind of what actions people are taking, and that's called a conversion. So if you're just jumping into this video and kind of skipping some of the previous videos, you're gonna miss some of the how to set up the pixels and stuff. So I will link below how to get back to those videos to learn how to set up the conversion pixels, but I'm assuming you've done all that correctly, and now we're just gonna actually create the campaign. So in Ads Manager, we're gonna come to create, and I'm going to end up showing you quite a few different campaigns that you can run, but not all of these. I'm not going to cover all these. So for this one, we're going to do a conversion campaign, and we're going to name it something like simple conversion. That's not a very good name. Name it like the market you're going after. So I live in the Vancouver, Washington market, Vancouver, Washington conversion campaign. All right. We can't change this because of the campaign objective here. And then the key results. So this is the pixel you want to have fire when somebody successfully fills out a form, because that's what Facebook is going to basically attribute to that spend. So for me, when they go to my step 2 page on my Carrot site, the lead pixel fires, and that's what we're going to choose here. And then here we're just naming, like we're just kind of setting up the structure. So we're just naming things. So like Vancouver market. And then this might be just the name of the ad I'm going to run. Okay. And then you save to draft. So once that's being created, or while that's being created, over here, this is like the simple part of kind of setting. You can set a limit right here where you can tell Facebook, shut my ad off after I spend, $300 or something like this, if you just want to let it run and don't want to be checking it every day. Or you can just remove the limit and it'll just spend how much you want it to do daily. So Facebook campaigns are different than pay-per-click campaigns where you get charged when somebody clicks on your ads. Facebook will spend up to a certain amount per day that you tell it to. Okay. Here's a little gotcha. It's not the best user interface, but this is how you get to the ad set, or clicking. I'm gonna go back real quick. If you go to the campaign level, you have to have this checked, and then you can click on the campaign itself and it'll bring you to the next screen. Okay. So here at the ad set level, this is how we're gonna target who we want to see this ad. All right. So we got to make sure that the lead pixel is what the conversion event is optimizing for. And then we are going to set our daily budget. So I would always recommend, $5 to $10, depending on how long you want this to run. And you can put an end date on here. That's another way to calculate your budget. So if today's the 27th and I want to spend 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, I can have it turn off on the 31st. So that's how you set the budget and schedule. Okay, now the audience. This is where we actually choose who sees our ad. And if you remember from a previous module, we have 3 different ways that I recommend targeting an ad. So it's going to be, number 1 is a list that you already have, like your direct mail list. Number 2 is going to be demographic based, so everybody in a target market. And then 3 is going to be interest based, or lookalike based, which is kind of putting out a really wide net, especially if you have a big budget and are trying to get in front of as many people as possible. So for this, I am going to take a look at a customer list that I put in here. I think this is dummy data, so you'll have to excuse some of these reach numbers are going to show not high enough to show ads. But then what's important about doing a list like this is if you have like absentee owners or people from out of the state, you want to be careful with how you target everyone in this location, because obviously they're not living in your target market. If it's people who are behind on taxes and maybe you filtered it out, so like homeowners with the same billing address in the same county as the physical address, then you can come in here and target them even further and say, I only want to show ads to people in this list living in Vancouver. You can then, increase your radius depending on how many people you want to have target. And then you can come down here into some of the demographics. Typically, you will see that the younger demographics on Facebook aren't as engaged. Some people have said that Facebook is a little bit older audience in terms of, buying or clicking on things in Facebook. So you'll just have to test that, especially depending on the type of list you're using. But this is a good way to, save yourself a couple bucks. There's no magic formula here. I would just start with a range, kind of knowing your area, and then looking at the data, who's clicking, and kind of adjusting from there. Facebook will show you, male, female, the age range, all that kind of stuff, who's clicking the most, who's opting in the most, etc. Detailed targeting. So this is kind of the interest-based stuff. I typically stay away from it, especially when I have this already narrowing down my results, because this is going to narrow it down so far that you might only be showing your ad to a couple hundred people a day, which just isn't enough to kind of justify the $10-20 a day spend. So the other thing I wanted to mention here on the targeting side is if you don't have a list initially to start, you can do a couple things. You can just do a broad demographic ad, so you're just targeting anybody in the Vancouver area with your offer. Or if you have built out some custom audiences with anybody who's engaged on your Facebook page, or anyone who has opted in, or visited your website, which is called retargeting. If these are big enough, then you can go ahead and start putting these in here, and so you can do multiple lists on here, right? To get that 1,000 up, meaning you have to have 1,000 people in this audience to be able to show ads to them. So these websites are inactive right now, so I don't have enough traffic going to them. But if you're just starting off, you don't have the retargeting audience big enough, you can go ahead and start here. And then you can always test some of this stuff. So if you look in here, Facebook gives you some data like likely to move. And you could always test that under behaviors, residential profiles, to see if that works in your market. I've tried it on a couple different campaigns for investors with mixed results, so I can't speak to it definitively, but go ahead and give that a try. So this is kind of where you have some control over, this is where you have all the control over who sees your ad. So go ahead and tweak this and just kind of find the mix that works for you. But if you're just getting started, go ahead and put your target market in there and just make sure you're showing it to at least 1,000 people or more. All right. And then down here, a little tidbit for you is on the placements. This is going to show where the ad itself is going to show. So in the article feeds, instant articles, right column on Facebook, the feeds. This is like in the actual news feed itself on Instagram. Okay, I always turn off audience network. So that's like third-party apps that allow Facebook, the advertisers, to show on their platform, and they don't look as good. And in my experience, you just spend a lot of money and don't get a lot of results. So I'm going to take that off. Instagram, it depends. So if you want to show videos, if it's over a minute, you can't show it on Instagram. Facebook will give you some errors. So if you're just going to do a simple image to start, you can go ahead and leave Instagram on. But again, I want you to look at that data and make sure it's a worthwhile spend. And in the next module, I'll show you how to break all this down so you can see where your money's going. And that's pretty much it, okay? I always let Facebook kind of do this itself. So we're going to optimize ad delivery for conversions, meaning Facebook's going to find people who are likely going to convert, meaning go from Facebook to a website, put in some information. And then this is a conversion window, also known as an attribution window. So what this is going to do is, if they see your ad and then one day later they view it again and come to your website and convert, Facebook is going to attribute that ad to that. Or if they click on the ad and then 7 days, in between 7 days, they come back and opt in, Facebook will attribute the conversion to this campaign. Okay, so that is it. And now we can go into the actual ad creative part of this. So we need to select which page we are going to show the ad for. This kind of trips people up because they think that you must have a pixel for each page on Facebook, and you actually don't. You can send all the data back to Facebook, and then here in the ad level, you can tell Facebook which page you want to represent the ad. And you can add your Instagram account here, or you can use the selected Facebook page as the Instagram account, which is kind of nice. For some of you that may not know, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Okay, and now this should look familiar from the previous module where we talked about creating the actual ad itself. So again, to do a simple campaign, we can look at a slightly older house from our market, put it in here. The website URL, we're going to want to drive to our website. If you have a Carrot website, you can use a campaign tracking link here to get some extra data, like how long they stayed on the page, what browser they were using and all that kind of stuff. It sends it all back to your analytics account. And then we just start filling out some information here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a short copy ad here. So okay, display link, so this is just going to be the same as above, headline. And then newsfeed, I'm going to go ahead and just leave that blank. It'll pull the description from the page that the home page I'm sending it to, which has some pretty good information. All right, and then I'm going to leave it as learn more. That's one of my favorite call to action buttons to use. It seems to get clicked on more than others. And that is it. So what you can do now is you can publish the ad. And when it's publishing, it will go into pending review. So that means, Facebook is going to make sure it doesn't have too much text over the ad. It doesn't violate their terms of service with some of the imagery you're using, or you can't drive to a page that redirects to something else. There's just like little things in the terms of service, if you're unfamiliar with, I would suggest you read them. I can link that up below in this video as well. But while this is uploading, that's pretty much it. You can then come back to the campaign level and it'll say in draft. This will go to pending review, and then it'll say active once it's showing. And give it 15-20 minutes. You can refresh the page and it'll start showing you the reach and the impressions. Okay, so after your campaign runs for a while, this is one I ran quite a while ago, and it will show you the amount of leads. So this is how many times the pixel was fired on your step 2 form. It tells you where the pixel was fired. The reach will tell you how many people the ad was put in front of. And then the impressions is how many times they saw that ad. I ignore this. This is kind of a vanity metric. And then it'll give you the cost per lead, show you how much you spent, how many people clicked on the campaign itself. And in a later video, I'm going to show you how you can get a lot more data, like more data than you probably even need to see out of some of these campaigns. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like when you run a conversion campaign, what you can expect to see to know if it's working. And of course, these 5 leads should be in your Carrot Lead Manager or your email or CRM, whatever you use to track your leads, to verify that this conversion campaign is sending you what it says it's sending you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pause the video here. That is how you create a conversion campaign. If you have any questions or are confused about any of the steps in this video, go ahead and leave me some feedback below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.